Peace, love, knowledge, and freedom. And welcome to another exciting episode of the Just Seen Motherfucking Podcast. And today, as you've seen from the title, I got another impromptu for you. I know. Season 13 will come back when it come back. But nah, I got this episode. This is because, as you've seen from the title, we're going to be talking about acting white. And y'all know me, like, the titles be, the actual episode be a lot different from the title, and a lot deeper than what the title is. But I wanted to talk about this episode because I had made a post. I don't even remember when I made the post, but I had made a post where I was talking about the truth is that we think like white people. The problem is we don't know how white people think, right? So now when we take that to another level, we don't think we think like white people. Which is crazy because it's like, there's little subtle imprints that we have as kids when we was growing up and shit. Oh, you act white. This nigga talk white. This nigga think white. This nigga think. And low-key, there was some truth to that. And there was a depth and a layer to that shit that I don't think we actually fathom. Because like we would say things like when we tied being white, it'll be like you articulate, or you could read good, or you were smart, or you were good at math and science or some shit. Well, math was Asian, but you get the point that I'm making. We would always equate some form of intelligence or obedience or well-mannered behavior to being white. And I think it's a little deeper than that because there is some truth to that. We do act white. But again, it's deeper than acting white because, for the religious people that are here for the first 20 minutes of the episode, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. You know what I'm saying? You think before you act. So if you act white, that means you have to think white, right? You can't act a certain way if you don't know how to think things. Even if we're looking at Hollywood, a nigga can't be the actor and capture the role unless you know how to think things. Simple. Whatever role you're playing, you have to know how it thinks. You feel me? When Damson Idris, I think that's his name, when he played Franklin Saint, he had to tap into the role of a 19 to 24-year-old person, black man, in South Central LA. Like, he had to think like that in order to capture the role. So when we say acting white, we are low-key subconsciously acknowledging that we think white. Now, the question is, well, I don't think white, see? Yes, you do. I used to think white. I probably still do think white and don't even realize it. No. Let me not. According to how this episode is going to go, I don't think white anymore. But I did think white. You feel me? Because, again, I don't know how white people think, and I didn't know how white people think. You feel what I'm saying? Now, when we say white people, we have to go deeper than just, I'm not talking about the motherfuckers in the trailer park. I'm not talking about the motherfuckers in the suburbs. I'm speaking from a higher perspective that we don't see anymore. And this was given to me by, majoring in forensics and actually studying genetics and shit like that and going into it because of the three races of people. You have the Africoid, the Caucasoid, and the Mongoloid, right? Africoid, and I'm going to keep it on a basic level. Africoid is dominant genetics. Mongoloid is heterozygous genetics. And Caucasoid is recessive genetics. That's it, right? And off of that alone, and then when we add in the highest component, we're going to add in the first rule of nature to that genetic template. First rule of nature is self-preservation. All right? That's the number one rule of nature. I don't give a fuck what it is you believe in or whatever the case may be. You strip all of this shit bare and you leave any motherfucker in the wild, in nature. Their first rule is to survive, is to preserve themselves in some way, shape, or form. You feel what I'm saying? So now when we couple these things, we have genetics, and then we have the first rule of nature being self-preservation. Dominant genetics is automatically going to preserve itself naturally. Recessive genetics cannot. Dominant genetics will preserve itself naturally. Recessive genetics will and cannot. It gets erased. It's that simple. So when the first rule of nature is self-preservation, now you have to divide this reality into 2 points. Dominant genetics, which is black people, you melanated people, dominant genetics operates from harmony. Recessive genetics has to operate from hierarchy. When the world, racism is about creating systems that make sure nobody can go beyond the recessive genetics to ensure that the recessive genetics stays. So we had like racism is some fucked up shit, but when you understand it genetically, nigga, you need racism to survive. You need racism to survive. And for you to survive, you need the world to operate from that same racism to guarantee that you survive, because they will destroy themselves because you are intending to destroy them. And when they think like you, they're going to destroy themselves, and you can keep your hands clean. So you don't have to worry about preserving yourself physically. You don't have to do that. But then it comes into those aspects of harmony and hierarchy. That's the delineations. Now within those subsets, now within harmony is where you get masculine and feminine. But within hierarchy is where you get dominion and submission. And we blur the lines between these 2 points simply because we place synonyms and we don't actually use the real words. And that fucks us up. And because it fucks us up, we don't realize that since integration, we shifted into the hierarchical mindset. And now we think like white people, which makes us act like white people. And before we dive heavy into that, be sure to follow me on Instagram at Seen the Griot. Be sure to check out my website at IamJustSeen.com to get all things that are just seen. To all those who tip, donate, and sponsor to the podcast, you are greatly appreciated. To all those who would like to tip, donate, and sponsor to the podcast, you can do so by clicking the link in the description of the podcast. Not the episode, but the podcast itself. And you know the vibes, Cash App, and PayPal are just fine. And as always, that's that for this and that's this for that. So we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to dive into impromptu pop-ups. It's either 40 or 41, but the number is up by now. But impromptu pop-ups 40, acting white. And don't forget to visit IamJustSeen.com. There, you can get all things Just Seen. You want to add the So For Real series to your library? Visit IamJustSeen.com. You want to learn how to master the markets for serious trading and investing? Visit IamJustSeen.com. You want to get your hands on some exclusive merch like tees, hoodies, coffee mugs, hats, bags? Visit IamJustSeen.com. Are you thinking about transitioning into the plant-based lifestyle? Visit IamJustSeen.com. You ever want to just chat with Seen about anything from simple advice to mentorship? Visit IamJustSeen.com. Anything and everything that is me, you can find at IamJustSeen.com. So take a quick peek into my world to see why being just seen is nothing less but always more. Because you never really know what you need until you see it. And you will never see it unless you visit IamJustSeen.com. All right. Welcome back. And I know it seemed like I just cut that and went straight into the intro. The reason why is because this is like my second take, but not my second full take, because like the first one got cut like 10 minutes in or something happened to it and I had to reset it. So I am already in flow state. So I didn't want to fuck up and miss too much. And I already seen what was happening and I didn't want to get, wrapped into it. So that's why I cut it. But now bringing this shit back, right? We have to understand that we think like white people. And now I think about it, the title might have changed again to Thinking White instead of Acting White. But it's all the same shit. But we have to realize that what does it mean to think white? You feel me? And this is why I mentioned that, dominant genetics naturally operates under harmony. Recessive genetics operates under hierarchy. It has to. Because it's like, it can't be harmonious and still thrive. Because like I said, first rule of nature is self-preservation. If left to our own devices and, there was like, when we think about how powerful racism is the system that makes sure recessive genetics are not erased. Nature says, look, recessive genetics are not good for the survival of a species. All species, no matter what it is, they will graft naturally. Nature naturally does this. It makes the recessive genetics graft out to create perfect species as the time goes on, adaptations, evolutions, mutations and shit. It is done solely for recessive genetics to be wiped out. Now, recessive genetics can never really go anywhere per se, because you're always going to have that dominant recessive genetics, a balance. However, recessive genetics ultimately get erased. Here's what I mean by that. And it's like, well, how the fuck if it's not going to be grafted out? And it's like, because when you look at, I'm going to use a Mendelian chart or Punnett square. When you look at this from the Punnett square's perspective, You have dominant genetics, we're going to say are big B, little, big B, big B. They're capitals, right? Heterozygous genetics. Oh, hold on, run it back on. Dominant homozygous genetics are big B, little, big B, big B, big B, big B. Heterozygous genetics are big B, little b. You feel me? Now you can have heterozygous dominant or heterozygous recessive. And the reason why I'm saying that is because you can flip it. It's all going to be big B, little b, but sometimes it's little b, big B. And that's when we're going to get into the aspect of the Mongoloid. Because when we look at the Mongoloid, it's like, oh yeah, that's the Asian, but that's where you get like Pacific Islanders that can float in between Africoid dominant genetics, and they still have that Asian, that Mongoloid feel to them, like the Filipinos and the things like that, and the Samoans, the Hawaiians, the Pacific Islanders, the Melanesians. Those people operate between the two genetic realm of the dominant genetics of Africoid and Mongoloid. Now, when we go to the lighter side, when you have the recessive heterozygous, little b, big B, you have the recessive heterozygous and recessive genetics. That's when you get the balance between the Mongoloid and the Caucasoid. That's when you get the Asians that are the face of Asia. Not the dark-skinned ones, the ones that look white, the ones that have the lighter complexion because they're recessive. You feel what I'm saying? And then you have Caucasians, blonde hair, blue eyes. That is the absolute recessive genetics, right? When they're giving us this information, again, well, I'm saying again because I said this at one point, and I don't know if I said it in this intro or I said it in the one that got erased, but they don't lie to you. They just don't tell you the truth. They tell you a truth in such a way that it's not a lie, but you just don't know what it is that you're perceiving because you have to believe it. You feel what I'm saying? So when they're talking about Africoid, they use, oh, you're from Africa, you're this, that, and the third, and it's deeper than that. It's Africoid genetics. There's only 3 genetic templates. Everything else is an amalgamation of that. When you look at the ethnicities that develop from the 3 genetic types, that's when you start to see the different variations. Though we got creeds and all of this. No. There's 3 genetics. There's only 3 races: Africoid, Caucasoid, and Mongoloid. Everything else is an ethnicity developed from the amalgamation of genetics. Do you feel where I'm coming with that? Just fuck with me. It's all going to make sense when we get to the whole core of this shit, right? Because we, as the Africoid people, which are genetically dominant, homozygous dominant, which is big B, big B, we don't have to worry about hierarchy. We never have, we never will. We don't have to worry about being erased. We never have, we never will. The reason why is because we are the template. We are the prototype. We are what nature decides needs to be here. In every species, you have dominant and you have recessive genetics. It's natural. It's natural. But nature, because it's natural, decides, graft this shit out. We don't need this going forward. I know it seems so cold. It seems so cold for nature to say, graft this shit out. We don't need this going forward. But that's what the recessive genetics are. As you develop, the genome starts to adapt to the environments, adapt to the circumstances, and say, we don't need these genes anymore. Get rid of them. We don't need these genes anymore. Get rid of them. Do they go anywhere? No, sometimes they lay dormant, but sometimes they can completely be erased out because with time, it will erase itself out. Case in point, this is what they mean when they say the first generation of when you get a black person, when they look at the athletes. I know I'm jumping all over, but I'm excited. When you look at the athletes, they'll say, get on and get with a white girl because we can take his wealth after 3 generations. It shifts back to the recessive genetics. So the recessive genetics aren't necessarily going anywhere. However, they are diluted more and more and more and more. You feel what I'm saying? When you understand this, you now have to realize that we are fighting a battle. Like, niggas be like, yo, this is a spiritual war, man. This is a spiritual war. And they try to fight a spiritual war with a religion given to you by the very people with recessive genetics who this world isn't made for. So who do you think their God is? Who do you think their God really is? And I'm saying this because religion is very important to this. But again, religion sits beneath genetics when it comes to genetics is the top of this shit. The moment you thoroughly understand genetics, you realize what the fuck all of this shit is. The medical system, the judicial system, all of these things. I talked about this in one of the other previous episodes where I talked about the reading comprehension level. There's a reason why I mentioned that. You feel what I'm saying? But all of this shit to the top of it all is all based off genetics. And when it's based off of genetics, everything else is designed to say racism is designed to make sure dominant genetics, the homozygous dominant genetics, cannot reign as supreme as it's supposed to reign naturally. Caucasoid, I was going to say Caucasian, but Caucasoid genetics, the recessive genetics, the Caucasoid people, they are at war with nature. We become the byproduct of that shit, but they are at war with nature, my nigga. And they're doing they have to destroy nature to destroy us. And they have to destroy us to destroy nature. Because we go one in one. We go hand in hand. This goes into what I was saying about how when we look at what is happening between how racism is defined, people think it's just, they dislike the skin color, or, you can't. No, racism is not as simple as that. Racism is the competition between genetics. Race is a competition. If you look up the etymology of the motherfucking word race, it is competition. It was competition before it was ever genetics. Now, because it's tied to genetics now, it is the competition of genetics. It ain't hard. It ain't hard. But there's only 3 genetic templates. So where's the competition? Africoids, Mongoloids, and Caucasoids. Mongoloids stay out the way. They align. You have the divisions. Don't get me wrong. You have the divisions. The Mongoloids stay out of the way for the most part. But the Mongoloids, the lighter ones, they align with Caucasians. The darker Mongoloids align with us. This is where you get the conventional black and brown people. The people that we call the Mexicans, the Mexicans, the Hispaniolas, the islanders like the Dominicans, the Cubans, like they were supposed to be a part of the brown. That's why you have the Boricuas and shit like that, the Puerto Ricans and shit, and they like, why are y'all a brown? So when they say black and brown, here's what they're telling you. Black people. Now, okay, all right, let me say that part first, because this next part's about to get deep. So when they say black and brown, black people are homozygous dominant genetics. That's what they're calling black. The brown people are heterozygous dominant, which makes them brown. Now, this is why I mentioned earlier when I said heterozygous recessive as well. And I know it's like, if you study genetics on the basic level, they'll say, well, if it's recessive, then it doesn't. No. Recessive can still show up. This is why you have that delineation. So the recessive heterozygous, which is little b, big B, is the Mongoloid that's the yellow person. You feel what I'm saying? That's what they would call, quote unquote, yellow. And then you have the Caucasian, which is the white person, which is little b, recessive. So that's the divide. So the red man is the one that sits right in the middle of the shit. If you just look at the colors, right? If the colors fade, right, you get 6. This is why you have the melanin, actual template of melanin runs from 6 to 0. You feel me? There's 6 characters you have 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and 0. So 7. Well, we ain't gonna count 0 because that's transparent. All right, 6 to 1 are the melanin templates, right? And it literally fades. Black, brown, red, orange, yellow, white. The red and the orange man, or the red and orange genetics, they fluctuate between, they would be like, okay, if you did a Punnett square of heterozygous dominant, and heterozygous recessive, that Punnett square would give you all heterozygous dominant on the surface. You feel what I'm saying? But from a colors perspective, since we're using races and colors, you have what we consider the red and the orange man. Nobody calls each other red and orange no more, but it's a reality there. They'll say copper instead of orange, but you get what I'm saying. It goes black, brown, red, orange, yellow, white. Now, white people are peach, beige, whatever the fuck you want to call them. They're white. But now we can get into why they're called white and why we are called black, because it's always been the delineations of the hair, right? Black people, Negroes, black people are the people who have black hair that is kinky and curly. White people are the people who have blonde hair. Do you see what I'm saying? They have blonde hair. Blonde is white. I know English is blonde, but if you go to the language of Spanish and you go to the language of French, blanco in white in Spanish is white. Blanc in Spanish and in French is white. Why is it called white? And in blonde hair, why is blonde hair called blonde? Because it denotes the white. So when we always look at how they're identifying us, it's always been through hair. So when the Spanish conquistadors came over and they was calling black people Negroes and Negras, Negros and Negras, what they were saying was the black people, the darker skinned people who have the black hair that is curly and kinky, not straight. This is why there's a delineation when you look at a Boricua. Boricua morena. Boricua morena. Their hair is straighter because they don't have the curly kinky hair, because that is what's always been the problem. Now it's like, well, sing, how you get that shit? Oh, mon capitan, pay the fuck attention to listen. When you look at what they always say, Dominicans are good for this shit. I'm not black. And their skin be looking just like ours, but their hair is often straight. The ones, you gotta listen, the ones who have the straighter hair, you feel me? They say, I'm not black. I'm not black. Nigga, your skin look just like mine, but their hair is straight. And they have been wired so long to say, I'm not a Negro, I'm not Negro, I'm not black, because of their hair. If you've ever watched Bad Boys 2, what was it? When Gabrielle Union went to meet Johnny Tapia's mama, she said, is she a Negro? Like, clearly, from the movie, you're looking at her skin. And her skin is brown. So it's like, on paper, it's like, nigga, it's obvious she's a Negro. But why? The reason why she asked, is she a Negro? Because she went in there with a straight weave. Because she wasn't looking at the skin, she was looking at the hair. Because is her hair really kinky and curly? Because is she a moreno or is she a Negro? Or negra, because it's, feminine and shit. This is one of the reasons why they took the pronoun. This is why they try to do gender fluid shit and all of that shit. Because a lot of the shit was a revealing shit. Every language speaks in genders. Man and woman, male and female. Niggas in America just act like shit didn't happen, but it's like that for a reason. Because the deeper you get into understanding certain words, the more you can understand certain shit. So when she was asking Johnny Tapia, was she a Negro? It's like, nigga, she black. Of course she's a Negro. No. It's her hair nappy. Does she have kinky curly hair, or does she really have straight hair? This is one of the reasons why I always wonder, why is hair so fucking important in our community and amongst our women and shit? When you look at, what was her name? Matta C.J. Walker. Why was her empire built on having straight hair? Why was straight hair such a thing in our communities amongst the women? Because it was nigger hair. Because there's been all kind of shit that has evolved into this. So now, when we look at them being called negro and negras, right? The negras were the women, and that ultimately became negras. Because the Southern people of America couldn't say the shit in a Hispanic accent, or the way that the Hispanics, the Spanish conquistadors said it. So they were saying, as opposed to negras, these are the negras. And they became niggers because it was negras. But it was always the black hair women. Now, eventually, when you're not educating niggas on the shit, when you're not educating motherfuckers on the information, but you're just making sure that they can enforce some shit, they're going to use these terms derogatorily or whatever the case may be, but it always represented the hair. The hair has always been the focal point. Always been the focal point, no matter what it is. So now when we go back to the genetic side, and it's like, well, saying, I thought you were talking about thinking white. I'm going to get to it, nigga. Y'all know how I do. This is a rabbit hole, baby. But now when you get to the reality of it all, now you tie it into the genetics. Dominant genetics is manifests itself through the features of the face, the lips, the nose, and the hair, and the eyes, but the lips, the nose, and the hair. Where they fucked up when they found Egypt. Where they found Egypt. And this is one of the dopest things in the coldest realities that I like about a lot of what our ancestors did, whether it be the Mayans, the Mayans and the Aztec, the Mayans and the Incans, they were genetically dominant. The Aztecs and the the Mayans and the Olmecs were the homozygous dominant. The Incans and the Aztecs were the heterozygous dominant. So they were the ones who looked like the Mexicans that we call today, or whatever. And you can learn this shit just by spending time with some Mexicans and shit. I grew up on the West Coast in California and shit, so the first 9 years of my life, I used to hear shit about Little Mayate, but I would listen. Why are you calling me a Little Mayan? What does it mean to be a Little Mayan? You feel me? But again, I'm setting the scene. So, so the genetics is always, and the acknowledgement of genetics has always been about the hair because those are the features. So the point that I was saying with the ancestors, they always covered the hair on the statues. When they shot the nose off the Sphinx, they had the thing, the little headdress that was there so you don't see the hair. You know what I'm saying? The Mayans, the Olmec statues, the lips and the nose, you feel me? But you don't see the motherfucking hair because they got caps on, right? So they never paid attention to that. So when they seen the people, it was always about the hair. When I get into season 13, I'm gonna be talking about, the Roman Empire again, but part 2. One specific that I'm going to talk about is the Amazons. The Amazonians, why that's significant. But again, a lot of people got moved out, but we're going to talk about genetics and we're going to stick to this because we got to talk about thinking white. So now, as they're speaking on this, they're coming from a perspective of when they say black, you're a black person. They're saying, is your hair kinky and curly? Do you identify with kinky and curly hair? I don't identify with it, nigga. I got it. Like, I'm 4C, nigga. I can't do that. So it's like, when we look at America now, it's like, how did we go from when we was enslaved to Negroes, to African American, to FBA now and shit? All they're doing is giving you more. They're not gonna lie to you. They just not gonna tell you the truth. And then they'll tell you a truth in a way that if you go back deep enough, you won't know that you're listening to the truth. So they started off telling us we was Negroes. These are Negroes. Why are these Negroes? We think nigga, the word nigga comes from negus. Nigga, no, it don't. It comes from the fact that your hair is kinky and curly. And that's how they identified people. Their culture is about identifying people by hair. In Ireland, they call them redheads. They have the redheads. Think about it. You have the redheads, the brunettes, the blondes. Now, here's a dope part. The blonde joke. Why are blondes considered stupid? People be like, oh, you had a blonde moment. I had a blonde moment. Blondes are dumb. Blondes are this. It ain't that blondes are dumb. Blondes are recessive genetics. They're the ultimate recessive genetics. So physically, that was a perfect segue. So now we have physically, mentally, and spiritually. Genetics ties to all of these things. Your physical, your genotype and phenotype, your spiritual. Well, your physical is your phenotype. But your genotype encompasses your mental and your spiritual. So when they say this motherfucker's a dumb blonde, physically, like a natural blonde. Natural blondes literally ain't all there mentally. Like we can look at it, but it's not that they're just not there mentally. They have recessive genetics, bro. They have the recessivist of the recessive genetics. And recessivist isn't a word. I know, nigga. Fuck with me. Goddamn, how to break the tension. But they have the absolute most recessive of the recessive genetics. That's why they have blonde hair and blue eyes. This is one of the things that they was talking about, the pure race. And, I got into it with a troll. Because he was like, I was talking about recessive genetics. And he was like, what did he say? He said, it's because they're more rare. I said, in nature, see, because of your hierarchy, you think rarity is a good thing. Nature doesn't value rarities. Nature literally values abundance. A rarity is a lack. Do you feel what I'm saying? Nature does not value rarities. It values commonalities. We live in a fucked up world. You feel me? This is why diamonds are what they are. Because diamonds are more rare. You see what I'm saying? But anything that is a commonality is more abundant. So you have the sapphires, the rubies, like these things can come in abundance because nature provides things like that. But it's tied to the colors. So the motherfucker was trying to make me, oh yeah, because we're rare. No, nigga, you're recessive. Shut the fuck up. That is not rare. Like, you feel me? And in that rarity, when it comes to genetics, rarity is not a good thing. It's just not. Rarity gets erased faster. Naturally. Artificially, we're going to get into some artificial shit too, but artificially, it does what it has to do. So now when we look at the genetics, because now you have the blondes. Like I said, you have the blondes, the blonde hair, blue eyes. Now we understand why they call themselves white people. Because we like, look at my skin, I'm not white. Look at my skin, I'm not black. I'm brown. I'm the shade of a brown and this and the third. Because it's your hair. It's always been about your hair. And it always will be about your hair. Until you understand. And the longer they can keep us distracted from learning this shit, the more words they can layer this shit up with to where we no longer know what the fuck we're talking about anymore. We no longer know that it's about genetics. This is one of the reasons why I was mentioning that it's dope that is one of the bittersweet things that was really dope that like all of the ancestors and shit, they had headdresses on. Because it's like, oh, we shot the noses off. And, you know, we damaged the lips or whatever the case may be. But you didn't fuck with the hair. These three things go hand in hand: hair, lips, and nose. Like it's almost a 1-to-1. Big lips, thick ass nose, thick ass hair. It's all thick, nigga. This is just us. It's us. So now they can go through surgeries to look like what we are. We don't have to. We are. You see what I'm saying? But that's recessive genetics, which is fucking us up. Because now we can start to segue a little bit more into thinking like white people. We are the prototype. Their recessive genetics makes them go through the knife to look like us. And we go into the knife to look like them looking like us. How stupid is that? And when I say you thinking like white people, this is what I mean. When you think like white people, you have to realize you're thinking like blonde people. The people whose genetics manifest as blonde hair and blue eyes. That's what it is to think like a white person. To think like a black person, you think like the people whose genetics manifest as black hair, black kinky hair, and brown eyes. We out here wearing color contacts, nigga. Any eye color that is lighter than brown is recessive. From green, hazel, blue, yellow. Well, it's really only 4 colors of eyes. You have the brown eyes, you have the hazel green, you have brown eyes, green eyes, the hazel that sits in the middle, and then you have the blue eyes. That's it. Anything that's not brown is recessive when it comes to your eyes, which means they don't absorb all color, all spectrum, all the energy from the light, from the sun. You feel me? They can't absorb all light. So we don't even see the same. On some real nigga G shit, bro. We don't even see the same as them. From a physical perspective, if you understand the eye, we do not even see the same as them because blue does not absorb the same amount of content and light content that brown absorbs. So when you looking at the same thing as a motherfucker with recessive genetics, you do not see the same thing. White people versus black people. So now as black people, we don't understand why the fuck they can't, what the fuck is wrong with them? Like, how the fuck can't they? They are recessively genetic, and there's shit that comes with that when you understand genotype and phenotype. Phenotype is physical. So we know from the physical what they got. The straight noses, thin lips and shit. You feel me? Blonde hair, blue eyes or whatever. You know, and another point. They're sulfur-based people. We're selenium-based people. Our melanins are different. Because genetics makes our melanins different. When you have dominant genetics, homozygous dominant genetics, you have eumelanin, which means that your melanin is selenium-based. When you have recessive genetics, you have pheomelanin, which means that your melanin is sulfur-based, right? All the information is out there. Y'all can go look it up. I'll just give y'all the alley-oops to go check it out, right? So peep this shit, right? We're selenium-based. They're sulfur-based. Now, if you understand Latin, you don't even have to understand Latin, but if you understand biology, science, You understand that any prefix in any scientific world, the EU prefix means true. The pheo prefix means false. So when you have eumelanin, that is the true melanin. When you have pheomelanin, that is the false melanin. And when you consider the eyes, we're going to get to the melanin and we're going to dive straight deeper into this. But when you get to the eyes, brown eyes absorb far more color than blue eyes do, which means brown eyes can see better. Brown eyes have a better palette to absorb light, because now when you understand light, you have the two delineations of rods and cones and different viewpoints of the eye. This shit is phenomenal. The human is a fucking amazing entity, but genetics separates how humans are operating. So when they say, what is a god? You feel me? The highest conceptualization of the mind. This is why people like Aristotle, Socrates, specifically Hippocrates, and the reason why I want to use Hippocrates because he called Imhotep the god of medicine. We call Hippocrates the father of medicine. Hippocrates, because he was Caucasian, was blonde-haired and blue eyes. This is why they hold him in such high regard and high self-esteem, because of his genetics. But he learned from the dominant genetics. He respected, you know what? Y'all, they're the gods. So now we have to realize what was written to create a god. You feel me? Put a pin in that, because the religion has to play a part in all of this, because it makes shit work. So now that's what I was talking about with the eyes. So now when we go back into my bad, distracted with a text. Let me fix my phone. So now when we look at, that was the eyes, right? So now let's go back to the melanin, eumelanin and pheomelanin. If the eyes, brown and blue, are not absorbing the light, that means that the skin isn't either. Our skin has the propensity to absorb vitamin D and convert it. Hold on, let me slow down. It absorbs sunlight, converts it to vitamin D3, then converts it to vitamin D for our bodies. I'm gonna get why that's important. Theirs don't do that. That's why they can't be in the sun. It overdoes it. They don't have what we have because their genetics are recessive, my nigga. I didn't make the rules, nature did. They did the science and created eugenics, and I happened to find the shit and realize this is the biggest reason why I left med school. I know that this system is designed to kill my people, to make sure that my people are not, like, they make it in such a way that they're making sure that they preserve themselves, and whatever else happens to everybody else, it doesn't matter. Knowing this and knowing that the racism is the competition between genetics, now I can start to see better the systems that are in place to make sure recessive genetics stays. You feel what I'm saying? We're going to get into music. We're going to get into a lot of shit as we flow down this motherfucker. But it's just an impromptu, so I really don't know where I'm going all the way with this. But we're going to keep down this path. So when we look at it from a natural perspective, just with the sun, right? Where's the problem at? They don't operate the way we do. They're nocturnal. We're solar. They're lunar. You feel me? When we start doing lunar shit, we become lunatics. I'm not just trying to be semantic wise and shit like that. No. Most of our day is supposed to be in the sunlight for us. When the moon comes out, we are night and day. Pun intended. Pheomelanin people are supposed to operate in the moon. Eumelanated people are supposed to operate in the sun. They flip that. You feel me? They make us, no. They made it for their benefit. When you look at their moments, like everything they do is at night. They make us do everything at night. It's not an accident. They're lunar people. They're lunar people. They are supposed to operate lunarly. We're not. We're supposed to operate solarly, but we don't. We're in work. Like, that's why when the sun is out, where are they at? Oh, we're going to be in work. We're going to be indoors. We're going to be in the building. And we got your motherfucking ass in the same spot. So now When it's time, we're gonna go drink at the bars. We're gonna do all of this shit. We're gonna go have fun at night. Everything they do is at night. Therefore, they make everything we do at night. Tying it back to the whole theme of this episode, we think like white people. I'm not trying to be funny. I'm not, and I'm thinking I'm well beyond being intelligent or articulate. No, nigga, that we way past that. The systems that they have in place are way beyond that part. You feel what I'm saying? They know that if we are in the sun, we don't operate correctly. School system. When do we go to school? I'm just speaking solely from here in America. But everybody's system is aligned the same way. But when the sun is out and is most vibrant, we are not learning. We are out of school. School ends between summer and spring. Because again, now talked about lunar side and shit. Now we got to look at weather-wise. You feel me? We're more functional when it's warm. They're more functional when it's cold. They make us attempt to function most operable when it's cold. When do you go to school? When does everybody go to school? I'll wait. Between fall and fucking winter semesters, and you're out of school during the summertime. We don't want you learning when you're supposed to be learning. Because if everything was right, Caucasians would go to school between fall and winter. We would go to school between spring and summer. Same education, nigga, same 4 months. I mean, 2 seasons, which is what? Yeah, 6 months between, 6-7 months. Same shit. But now we're aligning the world with our genetics. This is how our genetics works. You feel what I'm saying? Now you tell a motherfucker, yo, you don't need to eat meat because, you feel me? It's, what am I going to do with protein? Your body's going to make protein. If you understood how your fucking body work, bro, you need nucleotides in your body because your body produces ribosomes and it goes through a chain that actually produces the protein your body codes for. But when you actually eat meat thinking that you're getting protein, you're missing the whole point. But they're not lying to you because the protein that you eat has to be degraded into nucleotides. And when it's degraded into the nucleotides, your body's going to code those proteins. Because it has the available raw materials. But you can get these same nucleotides from plants. You can get it from nuts, seeds, whole grain, motherfucking nuts, seeds, whole grain, fruit, vegetables, legumes, all of these things because the nucleotides are DNA. The nucleotides develop DNA. Everything has DNA in it. That's the side part of it. It's about the DNA. So why would you want to eat the DNA of a traumatized animal? Why would you want to eat the DNA of an animal who has gone through hell and pain? And you are a harmonious being. Now, this isn't a plug for hitting the raw or no shit like that to say go plant-based or whatever the case may be. I don't give a fuck what you do. I'm just telling you why the fuck you think what you think and why you think it's normal and why you don't know that this is how white people think. Because again, you don't even know what white people are. Like, we don't realize what white people really are. They're recessively genetic. That's the thing. I'm not going to go too deeper into that because, again, that's some shit that I could talk about in season 13. And I'm going to talk about it in season 13. It's just a little appetizer for you. You feel me? But we're genetically dominant. We're Africoid. So they say, oh, you're from Africa. You're African. Nah, we're not lying to you. Africoid genetics does populate Africa more. But you feel me? Africoid is the genetic template. African is the landmass. As long as you focusing on the landmass, you don't give a fuck about the genetics. And as long as you focus on the landmass, it makes it easier for me to control the template of the genetics. So now it's like, all right, well, how the fuck did we get here? If you're supposed to be talking about thinking like white people, now we can go to another level. You feel me? You think according to the genetic standpoint that they have to use to survive. What does that mean for you? If I know that the first rule of nature is self-preservation, which means I will have to eliminate homozygous dominant and heterozygous dominant genetics. In order for recessive genetics to even stand a chance, I have to eliminate them on a daily, consistent basis. What does that mean for you? And you think like that. Now you're, oh, ain't no black love. This is black men versus black women. This is white men and white women in black skin talking to each other. Nigga, we hate the skin. We hate the genetics. We don't even realize how deeply programmed it is and how subtle it became. We think we don't. Why is there a war between black? It's not a war between black men and black women. There's always going to be a war between dominant genetics and recessive genetics. That's the war. That's the war. But now the mindset of the recessive genetics is now infused into the mentality of the dominant genetics. What do you think the dominant genetics is going to think like? This ain't no accident. I want the foreign. I want the lighter skin complexion woman. I want this. I want to graft my genetics out, and I'm doing it myself. I don't even realize why I'm doing it. I don't even realize why I'm doing it. And there's a specific reason why they don't want anybody, any genetic template fucking with the black American. There's something about our genetics. There is something about our genetics that is special. I'm not just saying it because I'm a black American. I'm saying it because when I look at the history and I look at the science and I look at all of this shit in a big ass bundle together, we're the only ones who could not keep our language, who had to take on their language. We couldn't keep our language. We couldn't keep our spiritual systems. We couldn't keep anything. We had to be demoralized beyond what everybody else was. They didn't just colonize us. They went to war with us. We're prisoners of war right now. Whatever it is that is us, if the world taps into that, it returns to what we are. It goes to what we are, not them. They realize we can't let nobody connect with these motherfuckers. So, rather than trying to fight the friction, let's just make everybody think like us with recessive genetics. We're not even going to tell them it's about genetics. We're going to tell them it's about, oh, these people don't act right. These people didn't. No. These people have genetics that will erase us. And you're going to erase yourself because we're going to program you to think like somebody with recessive genetics. That changes the scope. Now, when I tell you, you think like white people, but don't know you think like white people, it is because you think like someone with recessive genetics, not somebody who thinks with dominant genetics. This is why a lot of black people have lack mentalities. This is why a lot of black people are in poverty. This is why a lot of black people need religion, because all of this shit is rooted in having a lack mentality. But deeper than that, it is rooted in having recessive genetics. That is the greatest lack mentality you can have. You know you don't belong. That is a different level of a lack mentality. Now it's like, well, how did the spiritual, and this is why Abrahamic religions came into play. And now when people say, well, when you talk about Abrahamic religions, all you talk about is the Bible. The reason why is because the Bible is the fucking oldest, bro. If I talk about the older brothers, you should automatically understand the younger siblings, bro. I don't get it. I don't need to talk about the younger siblings if I'm talking about the oldest sibling that was created from this entire thing. But here's the thing. Y'all always hear me talk about religion being mythology, ritual, and allegory. Right? Mythology, ritual, and allegory. First, before I get into this part that's in the Bible, I want to talk about something. If you study Kemet, on the Kemet walls, when they were always talking about the races of people, they always have 4, not 3. There was 4. But there's still only 3 races of people, and I'm going to tell you what that 4 was. Remember when I talked about you have the homozygous dominant, heterozygous recessive, and recessive. Homozygous recessive. Those 4 races that they always showed on the wall depict that. That's why it was only 4 people. Because they showed on the walls that, there's only 4 races of people. You're only going to get 4 variations. Right? Now, I told you there's 3 races of people. Now, I mean that there's 3 races of people and it gives you 4 variations. Homozygous dominant, heterozygous dominant, heterozygous recessive, and homozygous recessive. Go look on those walls. You'll see those 4 people with the 4 different shades, and it breaks down to black people, Negroes. Then you have the Mongolian Negroes, the Pacific Islander type people. This is where you get your Samoans and your Melanesians and stuff like that. Then you have your yellow people, which is your Asians, which is your Koreans, your Vietnamese, your Chinese. That's where you get them. Then you have the Caucasians, which is the Irish, the Scottish, the European, all of them motherfuckers. But this is why they don't like the Scottish. Scottish is the one. I mean, not Scottish. The Irish. Well, is it the Irish or Scottish? Whichever one of the motherfuckers got a red hair. Both of them, I think. But that's why they got such a problem with them. Because they're like, you got color. You're supposed to be blonde hair, but you're not. You know what I'm saying? But these are things that are supposed to graft out, ultimately. But they don't, right? So now, this reason why I use those in Kemet, when they talked about those 4 points, because that's the only recommendation that we had that we left, that they have shown us, but they used it in the Bible. When we understand that the Bible is written, all religious texts written in mythology, ritual, and allegory, right? Abraham and the Abraham and then the 3 religions that are derived from him denote what? It comes from Ham, Shem, and Japheth. Japheth, whatever. But these are the 3 sons, right? No, these are Noah's 3 sons, right? Now, this is Abrahamic religion. Abraham was the father, and then all of this shit. Now, when the world got erased with the great flood, Noah was left, and Noah and his 3 sons. You have Ham, Shem, and Japheth. Ham represents Africoid people. Shem represents Caucasoid people. Japheth represents Mongoloid people. This is why they always say, we're the real Jews. Nobody knows who the fuck the real Jews are because you're not paying attention to genetics. The reason why the Jews claim to be of Shem, the Shemites, or whatever the case may be, is simply because we're claiming our genetic template. Your genetic template is cursed. Hamites have black skin. That's what the curse was. You guys are cursed. We're blessed. So now as black people, we're trying to think like recessive genetics. Shem was the recessive genetics. Now let's split it. Like I said, 3 races of people. Ham is the Africoid. Shem is the Caucasoid. Japheth is the Mongoloid. You feel me? The reason why they moved Noah, and this is going to show you the ordainment. When the flood hit, the flood made the boat that he built move over to land on Mount Ararat. I ain't even gonna talk about the water. I ain't even gonna talk about how the water couldn't go nowhere because we sit in the firmament and it's a dome. There's no way he could have blown it off the side of the earth. No, I ain't gonna talk about none of that because there would have been a condensation reaction. There would have been a constant evaporation, condensation, and precipitation flow that the water wouldn't have went anywhere. But we're not gonna talk about that yet. Talk about it in season 13. The ark landed on Mount Ararat. Mount Ararat. Again, mythology, ritual, and allegory. Mythology will give you real information to help you see a reality because it has to paint a picture. So when the Noah's Ark landed in Mount Ararat, where is that Mount Ararat? In Turkey. Where's Turkey? In Europe. They set the scene and erased everything and said, we're starting this shit over from Europe. Now, the Shemites are going to be us, the Caucasoids. We know that the Africoid is we know that the Hamites are the Africoids. We know that the Japhethites are the Mongoloids. We only gonna fuck with the Mongoloids to the capacity that they are recessive homozygous, which are the Asians. Which are the Koreans, which are the Koreans, the Vietnamese, the Chinese, those are the 3 I can think of off top of the head. But we're gonna outcast the Filipinos. The Filipinos, the Cambodians, we ain't gonna fuck with them because they're heterozygous dominant. They're closer to niggas. But we're gonna say the niggas are cursed. So now we're gonna think like we're creating the way we think. So now, as the Shemites, we're gonna use this doctrine to create the cult. Sure, that solidifies exactly who we think we are. And who we want to be. Now we're going to go around colonizing everybody. And we're going to take this doctrine. And see, people be thinking that when they came over, they came with, the word of Jesus. No. They started off, you're cursed and you need salvation. How you know you're cursed? Because you're a Hamite. Oh, my black skin. Yes, your black skin is a curse. Our Caucasian skin is the blessing. No, your Caucasian skin is recessive. And you were smart enough to know when y'all was in them caves, you feel me? When they was getting ready to do their propaganda. They wasn't even in caves when they did their propaganda because after we taught them how to bathe or whatever the case may be. When the Council of Nicaea happened, When Constantine said, we're going to use Christianity to rule the world, it wasn't hard. Because again, we're going to create Christianity and use Christianity to make everybody think like recessive genetic people. Genotype is your mental and your spiritual. Genetically. Now, let's add another layer. The pineal gland. 85% of black people's pineal glands are decalcified. 85% of Caucasian pineal glands are calcified. Pineal glands are the seats to the motherfucking soul. Recessive genetics don't have a seat to their soul. They don't have access to the seat to their soul. So now when we fast forward, it seems like I'm jumping over the place, but I'm not. Let me get back to it. So when we fast forward to why we have fluoride in our water, why there's fluoride in the water, and especially heavily in the urban communities. And where are the urban communities? Who's disproportionately placed in the urban communities? We are. Why? Nigga, we want y'all to think like us. Y'all are gonna think like us. So, Council of Nicaea, they say, we're going to make the world listen and fuck with Christianity. Why? Because under Christianity, we are Shemites. We are Shem. We are from the tribe of Shem. You're not. None of this shit is real, my nigga. But again, when you think like recessive genetics, you can't tell the difference between fantasy and reality. And I know I mentioned harmony and hierarchy. I'm going to get to that because this is setting the scene and it's going to get into that. Now when you go and you quote unquote do your colonizing, we're going to send the missionaries. Do you know about your Lord and Savior Jesus Christ? He teaches love or whatever the case may be. Jesus teaches love because you're a Hamite who was cursed. Well, what is a Hamite? Somebody with black skin. That's the curse, black skin. It ain't hard. It ain't hard. And you can still have this black skin and go think like a white person, not even know you're thinking like a white person. So now when we look at a church, Southern black churches and shit like that and all of that, it's like, why are they so big on black people wearing white? Why are they so big on black people being humble and all this shit? Because it's like, we know who your gods really are. We know who your gods really are. So we're going to give you the God that we need to have. We need you to have. Because this God guarantees that we will be able to preserve ourselves. If we can get everybody else to believe it. That's what the Council of Nicaea was about. And this shit worked. I can't even knock it. This shit worked. But a lot of people don't understand that the reason why that shit worked was because if you understand genetics, they reduced everybody spiritually to the genetic template of recessive genetics. That's crazy. They got you spiritually first. That was the colonization. They went to war. Don't get me wrong. They had to do the wars. A lot of us was whooping their ass or whatever the case may be. But when it got to first, we have to get you spiritually. Spiritually, we have to make you think like you have recessive genetics. Spiritually. Mentally, everything else will follow. Everything else will follow after that. But we spiritually got to get you to believe that you have recessive genetics. Now it's like, well, the motherfucking Islam is they're not Caucasian, they're not, but they are closer. They are recessive. They are heterozygous recessive genetics. I don't make this shit up. This is all just like, that's why I gave you the part at the beginning where I actually showed you that there's levels to the shit. They will fuck with the Arab. They will fuck with that person simply because you are also recessive genetics. You're just recessive heterozygous. So you're somebody that we'll fuck with. Because we can intermingle with you and eventually the recessive, when you have, now, I'm going to take it to the next level because this is the power of, when we look at recessive genetics, we think it's necessarily weaker and it's not. But it is a potency that does not belong. Look at recessive genetics like that. Is the potency that is not natural to the actual thing. So we can have, and the reason why I'm using it like that is because just like you can have homozygous dominant breeding with the heterozygous dominant, you're going to have a big B, and a big B and a little b, right? Eventually, you're still going to have 75% dominant. What happens when you mix a little b and a little b and a big B with two other big Bs? You're going to have 75% little Bs. Hey, bro, for real, though, at some point, we got to stop talking to women about masculinity and start talking to each other about it. And I mean really talk to each other. Not as enablers and co-signers, but as men trying to reach the pinnacle of our essence. And that's what the So Frail series does.
SoFrail 1 is the definition. SoFrail 2 is the acknowledgement. And SoFrail 3 is the resolution. If you rock with the SoFrail conversations, I can guarantee you will rock with the SoFrail series of books. So visit IamJustSaying.com right now so you can add the series to your library. I promise you will never look at masculinity the same again, and you're going to stop wasting your time arguing with women about it. This is a conversation that men need to have between men, and it's time we start having this conversation now.
You see what I'm saying? But when you have big B's and little B's, the big B's always take over the little B's. So it's like they will fuck with somebody who is recessive, is heterozygous recessive, because it's like you can shift over to full recessive, to homozygous recessive easy. You can be white a lot quicker than you can be white a lot, you can be white or black, but you can be white a lot quicker than we can be what you are. But when it comes to them niggas, nigga, we can't do it. We got to kill them. We got to kill them off. But in order to do that, first thing we want to do is make sure we give them the religion. Fast forward to niggas. I'm going to get back to the other point when we rewind again. But fast forward to niggas saying, I'm Christian before I'm black. Nigga, how? Nigga, how? We made you think like us, and now you put your religion before you put your genetics. We gave you the religion according to our genetics, but we made you put the religion before your genetics. Check and checkmate, nigga. We got you. We got you. Forever. 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 Islam does the exact same shit. It makes you put your genetics, it makes you put your faith and your belief before your genetics, while they give you the belief from the perspective of their genetics. It ain't no accident. This is why you have a transatlantic slave trade and a sub-Saharan slave trade. Transatlantic slave trade was through Christianity. Sub-Saharan slave trade was with Islam. And they made niggas. And now when I say niggas, you know I'm talking about the curly, kinky hair people, Afrocoid genetics, dominant genetics. Now you have to take this. We're going to torment you. We're going to slaughter you. We're going to do everything because we need you to put your faith before you put your genetics. If your genetics stand firm, if you put your genetics first, we can't control you we can't control you through the faith. But if we can get you to take the faith, we can control your genetics forever. Forever. Forever, nigga. This is why I still say nigga. This is a tangent. I'm gonna get back on point, but this is why I still say nigga. Because niggas be like, yo, you should stop putting that in your vocabulary. No, nigga, because I studied a little bit more than you and I know where nigga came from. So I'ma still call my niggas. Because I'm not saying niggas in this. I'm not saying niggas from the perspective of recessive genetics. I'm saying niggas from the perspective of dominant genetics. This is one of the reasons why every race wants to be able to call black people the derogatory term. You guys say it to each other because we literally what they're telling you is we are superior to you. So we should be able to say what you say to each other. You can't. But now this segues into my final piece. Because when we study religion, right? And this will probably be what takes it home. So when we study religion operates under one thing and one thing only: dominion. Again, this is why I use Abrahamic religion. This is why I talked about the Bible, the Quran. It works the same way. You have dominion. Whether it be God, Allah, well, I was going to say all the other ones, but specifically God and Allah, Jehovah, Yeshua, it's a hierarchy. And the religion is founded on dominion. Now, when the recessive genetics are giving you a religion of dominion, and they think you're beneath them, what does that mean for you? You have to submit to them. Their religion was used to enslave you. They used their religion to enslave you. Again, Islam, sub-Saharan slave trade. Christianity, transatlantic slave trade. Nigga, they created the submission because they were the dominion. You feel what I'm saying? This goes into hierarchy. Recessive genetics only operate from hierarchy because they can't operate under harmony. You feel what I'm saying? Now, as black people, our spiritual practices, this is why there's a difference between religion and spirituality. Niggas keep saying, I'm religious, I'm not spiritual, I'm religious. No. You still read the doctrine that was given to you by recessive genetics. Don't even look at it so much as the oppressor. Now you understand why they become an oppressor, because they have recessive genetics. I have to oppress you. If I don't, you erase me. We were always harmonious people. And to the point that I was saying, when you look at religion, patriarchy, all of this shit, is like their balance is dominion and submission. Harmony is balanced with masculine and feminine. So when people say, I need a strong masculine man and this, that, and the third, no. As long as you think with the mind of a recessively genetic person, your perspective is you're viewing masculinity as dominion. Therefore, you view femininity as submission. I don't be bullshitting when I tell y'all women are not naturally submissive. They're not. They're not. That's why I say you get the best woman out of a woman when you unleash her. Now, when you think like the recessive genetics, you can't do it because you don't want to be feminine. You want to be dominating. You want to be in dominion because that's what the religion teaches you. And the man that you want, I want a man who's going to be led with dominion, who has some dominion in this world. Niggas ain't got dominion. Now they asking like, why do black men and relationships go to... Do you see now? How as a black man am I going to have a religion? I'm going to follow a religion as a black man, and I'm going to expect a woman to want me when I can't get dominion for real. What dominion you think I'm going to have? So now when they tell you, there's a thing, I've been hearing it, black men are the white men, black men are white, black men act like white men to the black community. Nigga, yeah. Because you think with the same recessive genetic mentality that they think with. What do you think about the black women? Y'all do the exact same shit. And we're so busy pointing the finger, it's black men versus black women. No. It's dominant genetics being handicapped with the recessively genetic mentality. You're going to see each other the same way Caucasian people see you. It's naturally because now it's like this world is built off dominion and submission for them. They can't harmonize because to harmonize is erasure for them. So they have to maintain dominion and submission. So they need something to submit to. They need something to submit to them. And when it doesn't, that's where the problem is. Now, here's where the big problem, here's where it starts to really evolve, because it's like, if I can dominate the dominant genetics, I control the world. If not only can I dominate the dominant genetics, if I can get it to do my bidding, I run the world. This is why America is so important. This is what it means to have to make America great again. To put it in a position where the recessive genetics are the dominant mentality. They can't dominate us anymore. But we're breaking the curse and the spells because it's like, well, this is why I said the final shackle is religion. That's it. That's it. Our final shackle is religion. Now you understand why it's the final shackle. Because it's beyond just like, oh, your faith and your belief. No. It's designed to make you think like Caucasians. But it's deeper than that. Because the religion you follow is designed to make you think like you have recessive genetics. And you don't. It will always be in conflict with you. Because you don't have recessive genetics. What is one of the number one themes of the shit? Like, be humble. Practice humility. If I'm better than you, I'm better than you. Naturally, we show on a regular basis that our genetics are greater. But yet we have to have humility. Humility means to make oneself insignificant. To what? Dominant genetics have to make itself insignificant to recessive genetics. I'm doing a dramatic pause with that so y'all can breathe. I don't write this shit up. I just report what I know. You feel me? All of this information is there. I'm just telling you the pieces that I have, that I've seen. So now when we studied eugenics from Margaret Sanger, they knew there was going to come a point where the recessive genetics, they started to see the evolve. Our recessive genetics is no longer their mentality. Once we integrate it, they realized what was about to happen. Because here's the ploy. If they were smart, but they have recessive genetics, if they were smart, what they would have done was kept us segregated. when they integrated with us, their kids became what our kids were supposed to be. And I'm not saying it in a fucked up way, but as you go higher up, our kids are planting seeds because we're naturally harmonious. We have to be conditioned. We have to be conditioned into hierarchy. We're naturally harmonious, which means we're naturally masculine and feminine. This is why, when I define in So Frail, masculinity as a spiritual, mental, and physical embodiment of the essence of analysis and deconstruction, and femininity as a spiritual, mental, and physical embodiment of the essence of synthesis and construction, this is what the fuck I mean. I'm not talking from a perspective of recessive genetics, nigga. I'm speaking as a god, nigga. I'm speaking as a deity. I'm speaking as the highest conceptualization of the mind. And the highest conceptualization of the mind would produce dominant genetics. We don't make the rules. We just got to accept what the fuck we are. But we can't, because that's where the religion comes in. That's where the religion comes in. It's designed to make sure that you remain dormant. So that way it can reign supreme. And it can't. It is dying. But now, we are already wrapped up in the religion heavily. There's no getting out of it. There's no getting out of it. And so much so, because they understand that we make you think how we think with recessive genetics. Everything is about death and lack. Think about it. This is why it's so easy to be caught up in the last days of the last days. They will always be in their last days of the last days. We don't die, we multiply. That shit doesn't apply to us. Why do you think? Something that I've learned when I studied our ancestors from multiple places, the ones here in America, the Kemet, everywhere, they never fear disease. They never fear disease. Like, if you fuck with Kemet, if you fuck with Nubia, if you fuck with Kush, if you fuck with the Olmecs, if you fuck with the Aztecs, you fuck with the Incans, the Mayans, the Omishans, when the Americas, that were here before Columbus, study them. Study them for real. There is they do. Not only did we not have a concept of death, we also didn't really worry about disease much. Disease was not something that was heavily on our minds. Like, we never worried about shit like that. But yet we follow a religion that tells you there's going to come a time when a quote unquote rapture is going to happen and death, disease, and pestilence is going to run rampant. Who in our history, study all of the histories, study them together. Who in the history really only has who only has a track record of being wiped out by diseases, nigga? Them. And they brought the diseases over here with us. And it still didn't kill us. Disease has never been something that we worried about. But they took our doctors, they took our physicians, they took our scientists, they took our knowledgeable people and vilified them. Because you're thinking above recessive genetics. As you're supposed to, because you have dominant genetics. You know how to connect with the earth. You know how to naturally connect with shit. This goes back to the part what I was talking about with the eyes and the skin and everything. Like, we don't see what they see. They don't see what we see. But we've been convinced to see the same. Just from a perspective of the eye color, my nigga. When you're looking at something, the colors that reflect and are able to be absorbed, we have a bigger spectrum that we can absorb than they do because they have blue eyes. Now I get it. Well, some white people have brown eyes. Some white people have this. Yes, they have adopted the dominant gene. But we're speaking from the core when this shit was established. It was blonde hair and blue eyes. They don't see what we see. They can't see what we see, how we see, the way we see. But they've convinced us how we see. They've made us see how we see through their lens. And this is what the education system is about. I want you to think like recessive genetics people. We're going to make sure that everybody thinks the same. This is why I'm telling people, you send your child to school, like, they be like, yo, black kids got ADHD, their behavior and all of this shit. No, nigga, we're too smart for this shit. Our genetics are, and I'm glad I'm using smart, but I can go back into genetics because our genetics are too dominant for this curriculum. Our genetics are too dominant to be educated by you motherfuckers. Somehow we lost that. You know why? Because they erased the fucking history. When they erased the fucking history, they started destroying everything to make us not get back to the science. Nobody's paying attention to genetics of this shit. Like, you wonder why your child has behavior issues. When a dominantly genetic being is now operating from the capacity of a recessive genetic. I've eclipsed you a long time ago. I was walking before you. I was sitting up before you. I was recognizing faces before you. I was talking. I was doing all of these developmental things before you, and now we in fucking kindergarten together. I'm gonna speed you up, and you're gonna slow me down. So now when they say, you know what, we can try him as an adult when they're 15, because we know you're genetically dominant. We can put our kids with them as a handicap. They're going to, when it starts to balance out, and this is what I was saying, when they start to integrate and they started to realize what was happening, they were speeding themselves up by slowing us down. Now we're all on the same plane. Because all of this shit got to work according to recessive genetics, my nigga. That's why it's like, yo, how do we just naturally do shit and we just be, it don't even be that hard for us, but they make it seem like it's such a difficult thing. Because they're recessively genetic. They don't have it. They literally lack it. If you know genetics, right, there's things that you don't have if you're recessive. There's things that you do have if you're dominant. And as a human, as the species, when you're dominant, you have it all. How are you equal to what doesn't have it all? Now, well, Scene, this is pretty racist, don't you think? No, it's not, nigga, because I'm not creating the fucking system. I'm telling you what the system is. I'm telling you that there's a competition between genetics. I'm telling you that they have already established all of this shit. And they tell you what it is. They just don't tell you. I'm telling you, oh, make America great again. Oh, nigga, let's put these recessive genetics at the forefront again because all the dominant genetics are killing shit. Not only that, the dominant genetics mentally is starting to change shit. They've been trying to infiltrate hip hop for the longest. And they can't. They can't. They infiltrated rock and roll. They infiltrated pop. They infiltrated country. But why couldn't they do hip hop? Because you need recessive genetics to emulate music. You feel me? To emulate the music. Hip hop isn't a music you can emulate. Yeah, you can get your singers. You know, you get your Ariana Grandes. You can eventually graft one of those in. You can get all of these. You can get your NBA players. You can get all of this shit. But what they can't do with rap is take it where we can go. Now I get it. Well, nigga, the R&B sing. That's why the R&B songs. This is where Not Like Us really comes in, because when you look at the R&B songs, you have songwriters. Singing gives you songwriters. They know that. We know what the voice can do. Hip hop was built on your own fucking pen. Still to this day, that's why only the real niggas who write the shit, this is getting into the infiltration. They tried to do it with Eminem. Couldn't do it. Well, first, they tried to do it with Vanilla Ice. Because they thought it was just rhyming. Ice, ice, baby. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sorry. I'm just painting the picture. I'm telling y'all what it is. This is what it is. This is why we view them as such a high regard when they do some basic shit. Like, for real. We don't even realize how deep this shit goes and how long this shit goes. We're standardized according to recessive genetics. When we get a player, a basketball player, I use basketball for an example. You get a basketball player, Allen Iverson, some of the illest handles, Kyrie Irving, illest handles and shit. But when you look at somebody like Jason Williams, you know, Pistol Pete, like, we give them some kind of clout, an extra push because, oh, you're white. And we look at it as, oh, you're white competing with black people. No. Yes, it is that. But let's look at it from this perspective. You have recessive genetics and you move like you have dominant genetics in this arena. We needed to disband the Negro League because we can't have dominant genetics looking how it's looking with recessive genetics. You know what I'm saying? We can't have that. So we're going to disband those leagues and we're going to infiltrate them because we know. We know. And if we don't capitalize on it quick enough, y'all will be able to reclaim it. Hip hop. Hip hop. Hip hop couldn't be taken. Hip hop will never be taken. A lot of people say, oh, hip hop dead because Drake ain't on the charts. Drake was a plant, another person that, like I said, they've been trying to do it for years and they can't. They don't know why they can't. R&B, they were able to get that. They were able to get that. So much so that R&B isn't even rhythm and blues no more. It's all about sex. Like, you feel what I'm saying? But now when you look at, you have Adele. She's pop, but you have Adele in the R&B because anybody can sing that. But it's like, I have the songwriters. So we're going to make sure that we only operate your skill. Your genetics can only be limited to how recessive it can be. So when we look at Adele can blow. If she was black, she would still be able to sing, don't get me wrong. But if she was black, she would just be another one. Like, we have a slew of motherfuckers that are elite levels, and it's like, because you black. You're supposed to. You see what I'm saying? You're supposed to. Like, Adele is their Whitney Houston, but Adele can't fuck with Whitney Houston in any way, shape, or form or fashion. You feel me? You feel me? We got Whitney, we got Aretha, we got Patty, we got Jasmine Sullivan, we got motherfucking Mariah Carey was one of their infiltrations. She has recessive genetics, and we miss it. We miss it. Because again, it's like we don't realize what they've standardized in us. But I'm taking it back to hip hop again. Hip hop can't be taken. This goes back into what I was talking about recessive genetics when I talk about the pineal gland. This is why it's like everybody's trying to give the pass. Oh, Drake still makes hits. No. This is why it was so big. Nigga, you don't write your shit. That has been an unwritten code of hip hop for a reason. And now I'm understanding why it was a code. And that was the code they've been trying to break and crack for a long time. They can't. There are no songwriters in hip hop. You want somebody to write for you? Go be R&B. Go be pop. Go be all of that shit. Hip hop, nigga, you have to have a pen. And it has to be your pen. It has to be your pen. But now, because of integration, now it's like, yo, how did gangsta music, how did this, you think like white people. You think like white people. Now, if people was like, oh, now y'all understand. You think like you have recessive genetics, my nigga. So it's easy to talk about dominion. Enforcing submission. I'm going to shoot this nigga. I'm going to kill this nigga. I'm going to destroy this. I'm going to destroy that. You think like you have recessive genetics. And you don't. Recessive genetics operates from lack. Recessive genetics operates from destruction. It's not harmonious. This is why they talk about in the hip-hop community like there can only be one. This is why they say, nigga, once you over 25 and you can't rap no more. You know why they do that? Because your frontal lobe develops. After your frontal lobe is developed, now you're in your 30s and you're able to still rap, and now you're rapping about shit that fucking matters. Your pen is tapping into something different. If your frontal lobe starts to develop at 25, where do you think your levels can go with your pineal gland if it's decalcified? We don't want niggas like that writing. Now we want to get it to a point where we say, I don't want to think. When Kendrick Lamar did the Super Bowl, so many black people said, oh, here he go. He gonna make niggas think. You think like you have recessive genetics. Recessive genetics don't like to think. They like to memorize. As black people, we don't memorize. We think. But we've been so wired to to believe that recall is thinking, that we think that's thinking. When you were in school and the teacher told you to think about it, you're trying to recall some shit that happened like when you last week or some shit. No. To think about it means that in this moment, I am processing the information right now. Analysis and deconstruction. Masculinity, not dominion. In school, they teach you. They start off with that. Dominion and submission. If the religion doesn't put it in you, well, the religion's going to start it in you. Then school's going to put it in you. Now you have the subservient mentality. Because you have already been wired that you have dominant genetics. We have to cap you at this recessive level. And they wonder why by middle school, a lot of us as Black people, mentally challenged. Are we really mentally challenged, or is our dominant genetics trying to think like recessive genetics, nigga? You feel me? Is our dominant genetics operating like it's recessive? You feel me? Tying it to the point where I was saying, like, you'll commit a crime and they'll try you like you adult if you're 15 years old. But then at 30 years old, they're still calling their kids, their criminals boys and shit. Like, oh, he was a boy. No, he wasn't. But he was a boy because he has recessive genetics. Think about that gap. If at 30 years old, someone with recessive genetics can be viewed as somebody who is still a boy, but at 15, 12, at 12 years old, someone with dominant genetics can be viewed as a man and a threat. We not the same. Dun, 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 dun. And we don't know it. We're trying to get into a space where we're trying to constantly, we're walking a line where we know what's happening. The break is happening, but we just haven't made the connection that it's about genetics. We're getting educated like them, not realizing that it's still to the limitation of recessive genetics. This is what it is to be peer reviewed. You think a peer review, you really think a peer review is about your peers. It's about making sure you still think like your genetics are recessive, and they're not. But at the same time, we need dominant genetics to push the envelope. But we're not going to give the dominant genetics the credit. We're going to make you a part of a team of the recessive genetics. Oh shit. Now it's like, well, you got Korean people that have breakthroughs. Yeah, like, look at them. They're all off of what? The heterozygous recessive and lower. That's the genetics that you're dealing with. You feel what I'm saying? But they're going to doubt and they're going to question and they're going to push back the other shit. But again, to the point, the foundation of the shit, it starts with the recessive genetics. And then now it starts with the religion making you feel like you don't find it odd that you share the same God as your enemy. Now here's a point. If you share the same, let's not even look at it as, why are they the enemy? That's the question. Because the first rule of nature is self-preservation. Nature made you my enemy. No. You made yourself my enemy because of nature. We was chilling. So much so, it's Christopher Columbus when he came over here and he seen us, he said, oh, these people are going to be easy to enslave. What? He said, yeah, they're harmonious. He didn't say the words harmonious, but that's what our genetics are. We're harmonious people. We'd have no reason to beef with niggas. Now they fucked up. And I'm going to tell you why they fucked up. Because now they have given us their recessive mentality. And we're still the dominant force. They didn't anticipate that part. They couldn't have fathomed that part because when you're harmonious, I'm chilling, bro. I'm chilling. They didn't realize that when it's time to go to war, we went just to war. And we handled the shit and we left it alone. Because we didn't operate from dominion. We operated from harmony. Well, we didn't operate from hierarchy. We operated from harmony. Therefore, we didn't operate from dominion and submission. We operated from masculine and feminine. Even just saying the words makes it different. So what people are saying, oh, that's toxic masculinity. No, nigga, that's dominion. That's dominion. So now when we ask, well, why is it a patriarchal world? Because now who's at the bottom of the totem pole? In nature. The man with recessive genetics. Who's at the top of the totem pole? In nature. The woman with dominant genetics. Now I get it. Saying you saying that the black women are supposed to be over us, they're supposed to be. No, nigga, I'm telling you that our genetics are different. The womb, the earth is always going to be greater than the seed. The fuck? That's not about, if you're viewing it as a recessive genetics, it's going to seem like I'm putting it in dominion and harmony, and dominion and submission. I'm putting it in masculine and feminine now. This is harmony. But if we take harmony and juxtapose it with a hierarchy, you're going to have black women at the top. They're the top of the totem pole. White men are the bottom of the totem pole. You feel me? But somehow they flipped it to make themselves the top, because now it's like, okay, we're the recessive genetics. This is why everything they do has to operate in some way, shape, or form according to their dominion. They need that power. They don't have it. They don't. This is why they have the biggest beef with the black man. I can do what you can't. I can do what you can't with my woman. I can do what you can't with their women. I can do what you can't. You can't do what I do. Because your genetics aren't strong enough. They're not dominant enough. So now I have to create this reality of dominion and submission. And I'm going to start it spiritually with religion. This deity gave me dominion over everything. Just sit with that. Now, because niggas is like, oh, we Christian and shit, we believe, like, would a deity really give dominion of the world to someone with recessive genetics? Now, we're created in the image and likeness of our deities. We're all created in the image and likeness of our deities, correct? The image and likeness that we're created in, this particular image happened to turn out recessive. And this is the image that you mean to tell me he was given dominion? Why? Why would I give recessive, like, knowing that I created the sun? Knowing that I created this hot-ass sun, these niggas hate God, bro. So they created their own God to justify this shit. Knowing that I created the sun, I'm going to put the dominion of the world on the recessive genetics. Think about that. I'm just using that one small point. There's so many other rabbit holes I can go down with that when it comes to genetics and shit. But just that one point, I'm going to put the dominion of the world on the people with recessive genetics. They're going to be my chosen people. I created the sun, and they're my chosen people. People who cannot even sit in the sun without blistering. They're allergic to it. Recessive, see, this is where a lot of the allergens come in. People don't realize when you're allergic to shit, your genetics are recessive. And when you start to become, like, your genetics are shifting into the recessive state. But I create the sun, and I'm going to put the most recessive being in charge of the shit, in charge of the earth? Really? Really, nigga? Really? So now when I tell you, yo, you serve the same God as your enemy, how? How do you serve the same, like, it don't work. But again, I'm going to reduce it down to dominion. I'm not going to operate under hierarchy. I'm not going to tell you niggas that I'm this world ain't supposed to be built off dominion and submission. It's all of harmony. Therefore, you're not even tapping into masculine and feminine. You tapping into the dominion and submission. Women are supposed to submit. Women, submit to your man. Slaves, submit to your masters, if you would, Jesus Christ. Why do these niggas need so much dominion? Because they're recessive. Their genetics are recessive, and that's the only way they can dominate. Imagine this. Genetically, we have dominant genetics, and they need dominion. So they started off with the religion. God said I had dominion. So, no, he didn't. I ain't trying to be funny, nigga. This is the truth. When your doctrine tells you that you have dominion, but nature says God didn't give you dominion, whether it be God, Allah, Jehovah, Krishna, Buddha, Yeshua, Jesus, whatever it is, the fuck that you call it, it created the sun. And the sun shows who really has dominion. You can't argue with nature. But I give you this religion to argue with nature so we can solidify the mentality of recessive genetics. Making you think like white people, bro. Make you think like white people. And as you think, therefore you act. So now when we like, yo, why do black people not get along? What happened to our relationships? What happened to black love? Nigga, they know what happened to black love. Black love thinks like Caucasian genetics. Now, when Caucasian genetics, when that recessive template is now programming my thought process, my spiritual patterns, all of these things, what do you think is physically going to transpire within my life? I'm going to hate my people. I'm going to hate myself. I'm going to hate my kids. I'm going to hate everything. In my song, my latest jam session called No More Depression, I ended with you beat your turning your cheeks to your enemy, you beat your enemy, keep your enemy, serving the God of your enemy. It's a matter of time before your enemy's your enemy too. If our kids don't move into this recessive cult that we move into, we despise them. We don't like them. They become the enemy too. That's why it's like when people be like, yo, we wake up, we get woke and shit, and you start to get, all that happens is you tapped into dominant genetics and you broke from recessive genetics. That's it. You started to think beyond what it is to have recessive genetics. They knew that shit happened. They knew that shit was happening. COVID won't no accident. 2016, what happened? 2016 to 2020, what were black people doing? Post-COVID, black people back thinking again as if we have recessive genetics. When did these gender wars get? Nigga, they always been there. We want to make sure that our genetics reign supreme. Everybody's like, why don't anybody else argue about it? Everybody else has recessive genetics. It ain't hard, my nigga. It's right fucking there in our faces. Everybody else who's not having these gender wars, who's not saying this, they align with the dominance and the submission because they understand what they have to do to maintain their recessive genetics. We don't have that problem because we're not supposed to be thinking as if we have recessive genetics because we don't, nigga. If you knew what it is that you really had, you would move. So now it's like, now we ask, well, if we thinking white, how do they think? Yes, they think black now. They think like they have dominant genetics. This is why they gentrify shit. This is why everybody like, well, why do they feel like they should just come in and do something? Nigga, that's how we do. We're naturally harmonious. And when we think we can change something, we're going to change it. But they're not doing it out of harmony. They're still trying to do it because you're trying to emulate an essence you don't have. This is why it's so hard for them. They're trying to emulate an essence that they don't have. We don't have to try to do this. We just do it. They are trying to copy us do something, but they don't know that it's in us and it's not in them because they have recessive genetics. Do you feel what I'm saying? It's not trying to be funny. It's literally not possible for it to be in them because they have recessive genetics. You feel what I'm saying? So they end up trying to move like us and they can't. They copy it, but they cannot they copy it, they cannot be it. And because we are trying to be them without knowing why we're trying to be them, we end up copying them copy us. Now, when they say, this is what it means when they say, okay, Americans are fucked up. Americans do stupid shit. It's not just Americans, it's white people as a whole, but Americans we're recessive genetics. Our mentality is based off recessive genetics, so everything is about lack. Everything is coming from the lack mentality. Everything is coming from a scarcity mentality. Everything is coming from a survivor's mentality. You're going to create what it is that you are. Anxieties, depressions, all of the mental health issues are the results of recessive genetics. It just is what it is. It is what it is. Like, my nigga, so now when they tell you that something is in your family, yeah. The behavior and the pattern is in your family. Why? Because you're patterning it off of recessive genetics. That's why it's like 2 unrelated women can have breast cancer. That means it's not hereditary, nigga. It's not hereditary in the context that, nigga, this is passed down from generation to generation. Nah, because it wouldn't be horizontal. Heredity means that it's vertical. We would not need breast cancer awareness month if that shit was hereditary for real. No, nigga, this is horizontal. Because you're now moving. You operate, you live your life as if you have recessive genetics. You eat like you got recessive genetics. You drink like you have recessive genetics. You learn, you study, you grow, you do everything as if you have recessive genetics. Why? Because you think recessive genetics is top. Why? Because these niggas wanted to integrate. Dominant genetics wanted to integrate with recessive fucking genetics, and now we're here. Because nobody ever looked at it from a genetic standpoint. Everybody tried to look at it from a moral standpoint, from a religious standpoint, from a spiritual standpoint of some sort. Like it's, oh, I'm a Christian, this, that, and the third. Like that's why when I hear stupid niggas say, I'm a Christian before I'm black, bitch, no the fuck you're not. But when you are a Christian before you're black, that shows how much you are tied to your recessive, to the idea that you should be thinking as if you have recessive genetics. That's crazy when you really think about it. It's crazy as fuck when you really think about it, bro. Like, not many people are looking at it like that. Because it's like, I don't think like white people. Yes, you do. The problem is you don't know what white people think like. You think because I'm not out here like, no. When you are in a space where, everything you do is, if you are in a space where something that a black person can do can embarrass all of us, you think like white people. You think like you have recessive genetics. You don't. But what would it be like to think like we have dominant genetics? That's what's hard to do. Because to think like you have dominant genetics means you can't use the same religion as the motherfucker with recessive genetics. That makes no sense. You feel what I'm saying? You don't read, you don't write, you don't learn, you don't do any of the things that the recessive genetics does because, nigga, they can't even dance, nigga. Rhythm is not even in their genetic template and it's in ours and we think we the fucking same. I had to do a dramatic pause with that to show you how complex genetics really are and how simplified they really are at the same time. Because dancing is natural. When I hear music, it makes me dance. I don't even have to hear the whole song to catch the beat. That's how raw it is when you have dominant genetics. Recessive genetics needs 10 counts, 8 counts, and solid focus and thinking on how to actually do the shit. That's recessive genetics, my nigga. That's just dancing, bro. That's just dancing. Nigga, that's just fucking dancing, my nigga. I don't think you understand, like, why I'm so passionate about this shit, because this is what I mean. This is why y'all niggas, this is why we get poisoned. We inviting niggas to the cookout because recessive genetics can finally do what dominant genetics does. But then when we see dominant genetics do what dominant genetics does, it's like, you can't do more. They can't do it at all, and you want me to do more? Like, I should have to do more? Yeah, because your genetics are dominant. In a space where only recessive genetics are supposed to thrive. Now we wonder why. Well, why do we want to date the white women? Why do we want to date the white men? Why do we want to deal with people that are not black or whatever the case may be? Because we want to... everybody's on code with this recessive genetic shit except us. No. We're on code too, but we're the only ones who can't turn our dominant genetics off. Because everybody else is still recessive heterozygous. They're not us, my nigga. They're not us. The closest people to us are Mexicans. Mexicans and Hispanic people. The people that are from the Americas. Like, that's it. Like, that's who's closest to us. You feel what I'm saying? But again, some of them are like, niggas, why did you vote for Trump? Niggas think like recessive genetic motherfuckers. Niggas don't think, dog. Like, everything for them is about dominion and submission. They don't give a fuck about harmony. They give a fuck about dominion and submission. And they want to be in a space where I'm on the dominant side. That's what we really don't acknowledge and what we put white proximity to. I want to have dominion. as somebody who actually has I was just posting about this too. I was like, man, I'm not trying to hold the whip, nigga. I don't want niggas to get beat no more. The fuck. You feel what I'm saying? Like I'm not in that space where I want to hold the whip. No, nigga, I want niggas to stop getting beaten. Like, nigga, that's what I'm looking for. I want us to stop getting beat, nigga. That's my goal. You feel me? And that's what I do this shit for my people for. But I get it. Niggas want to hold the whip because that's what this is all about. So to the point that I was making, because I kind of got off and I never finished my thought about hip hop, I don't think. But this is why what Kendrick did was bigger than what anybody else could have done. When Kendrick said, who put the West back in front of shit? First, let me talk about, I want to talk about several songs from GNX first. Reincarnated. Okay, let you know that somebody came back. Man in the Garden. You know, every reason why my ancestors sent me. Right? And then who put the West back in front of shit? Tell them Kendrick did it. When people hear that, they think he's talking about the West Coast, and he is, but this is the shit that they don't have access to. This is why Eminem will never be one of the GOATs. No matter how much is black, when we think like recessive genetics, we put Eminem in a place he's not supposed to be. Eminem he can't go where he needs to go to be a true hip hop artist. But every time they keep trying they miss that point. This goes back to what I was talking about at the beginning with the pineal glands. You feel what I'm saying? You have to have a decalcified pineal gland to be able to tap in like that as a griot. Trust me. You have to. Because there's shit that you can't get when your genetics are recessive. You feel me? Yes, he can rhyme. He can but he has his cap is that his genetics are recessive. So now when Kendrick said, who put the West back in front of shit? And when he said, yo, I'm prophetic, they only talk about it, I get it. You feel me? Who put the West back in front of shit? He wasn't talking about the West Coast. The recessive genetics built their entire thing off Manifest Destiny, which was what? They're going to conquer the West. Why was the West so important for them to conquer? Because who was over here? You feel what I'm saying? Now, who put the West back in front of shit? Even in GNX, he said, where you from? Not where I'm from. We all indigenous. The indigenous people of the Americas were the West. Now, who put the West back in front of shit? It takes a motherfucker from the West to put the motherfuckers back on the map, put the West back on, but it's deeper than that. Because Manifest Destiny was about conquering dominant genetics. Oh, nigga, we back. We back. Hip hop was literally the only vehicle that couldn't be taken. Because of where you had to go to do it. R&B, we could have kept R&B if they would not have introduced songwriters. Hip hop is such a powerful sentiment, a powerful genre because you are the writer. There's no assistance. There's no help. You can collaborate, but nigga, that pen has to be on point. This is why hip hop and battle rap will always be preserved. But when you think like you have recessive genetics, you're gonna be limited with what you can do with your pen. The ancestors, the spirit teams, the guides, all of whoever, they're not going to come into this space when you think like you have recessive genetics. They're not going to give you that. So now when we look at the ancestors, when we look at the battle rappers, when we look at that, everybody talks about killing each other. Killing niggas, shooting niggas. The punchlines are crazy. It's killing niggas, fucking bitches, and doing all of the shit that recessive genetics has to do to survive. We don't know it, but we know it. You feel what I'm saying? So this is why it's like, for one, this is why I hate seeing, white battle rappers. I hate them. They're all trash to me. Like, you can even hear them and feel that, nigga, it doesn't feel right when you see a white battle rapper. It doesn't feel right when you hear a white rapper. Yes, Eminem can put words together, but he ain't hip-hop. He can't do what hip-hop was made to do. He can't. Yes, I know Eminem bars. Yes, I know that. But the point is, he can't go where he's supposed to go because he's not that. You got to have dominant genetics to go there to truly be the hip-hop artist. So they tried to infuse Vanilla Ice, fucking Macklemore, and then, okay, let's at least put somebody in there who has dominant genetics. Drake. This is why J. Cole can't push through that wall. Y'all know what I'm talking about. J. Cole is nice lyrically, but it always seems like there's something missing, don't it? I fucks with Cole. I fucks with Cole for the longest. I fucks with Cole with I fucks with Cole, but he still seems like he's missing something. The very thing that Wale puts in. Wale do that shit so effortlessly. But again, when you have that dominant genetics and you're not using it from a recessive genetics perspective, that's what it is. That's where the play comes in, bro. That's what it is. They want you to, okay, everything has to be, we can rap faster, we can rap more fluidly, we can do all of this shit, but we have to operate under recessive genetics. Very few niggas can crack, it's few niggas that crack the code that are able to be their dominant genetic self in this realm. Tupac was one of them. Nipsey was another one. I'm not saying shit happens bad on that shit like that when you do that, but they know, my nigga. They know. Drake, he's done. Drake couldn't get the job done that they needed to get done. There'll be another white rapper soon. Eminem didn't want the job. You feel what I'm saying? They miss what Drake was like. Drake doesn't have it. But it's not until you get to a certain point where oh shit, you're a dual nature person. So now I'm going to operate that the mixed breeding and shit is like, but you still don't have full dominant genetics. Yeah, you can get it, but you ain't got it. You don't have full dominant genetics. And you never will. And now they get it and they keep diluting and they're like, okay, we're going to erase it at some point. And so now we're in a space, like I said, where what we're doing is we're getting to a point now where it's like, we know that recessive genetics has to reign, but in order for that, dominant genetics has to be gone. Only way for us to do this now, we can't mix into them. We can't graft them out and wait 3 generations anymore. We can't do that. We just have to make sure they don't procreate. So now when we look at why are black men and black women at odds with each other on social media, why is this all the podcast shit? Why is all of this? Because we think like white people.
And don't forget to check out Cafe Clothing, formerly Just Scenes merch. Get all of your intricate designs crafted specifically for the melanated being to develop a positive imagery within self and to have a little bit of fun in the process. From the peace, love, knowledge, and freedom to the dead horses and water designs, all of the styles are crafted for the imagery to make you feel as you're supposed to feel. Because as I always say, the best way to fit in is to stand out. And what better way to stand out than with your exclusive styles from Cafe Clothing.
All right. I'm gonna go ahead and end it there. Yeah, yo, I love this one. Like, yo, I'm telling you, the conduit is back. Like, they giving me, I'm getting what I'm supposed to get. Because again, I'm tapping into my dominant genetics. Like, this is another thing. Like, when people be like looking at us like, oh, this person, like, this is why witch doctors are vilified. This is why so much shit is demonic to black people. When you understand recessive genetics and you understand their people, look up the word demonic. It means genius, right? It means genius. So it's like, when it's a genius level that I don't have, yes, I'm going to call it demonic. Like, all of this shit makes sense when you actually understand what it is that they're telling you. They talk in layered codes. Now, people see, I'm not reaching. Trust me, I'm not reaching. The problem is, I don't think like a white person. I don't think like I have recessive genetics. I think like I have dominant genetics because I know that I have dominant genetics. But you can't think like you have dominant genetics until you understand what dominant genetics are. We on some, my melanin on fleek. We just want to, and black don't crack. Nigga, it's deeper than that, nigga. Nigga, that's the surface level. Again, I showed y'all like the degrees of separation just from the fact that we can dance, my nigga. That we can dance, my nigga. Nigga, the fact that we can dance. Now, when they look at and they start doing comparisons and shit and like, oh, Beyonce ain't all of that shit. Look, Beyonce got dominant genetics and she reps that shit, bro. She don't think like she got recessive genetics. Jay-Z don't think like he got recessive genetics, right? It's niggas that don't think like they got recessive genetics and it manifests itself as such. If you think like you got recessive genetics, then You're going to always limit yourself because they need you to feel limited so you can't create the way you need to create. Me, nigga, I don't think like I got recessive genetics. That's why I'm willing to go places that a lot of niggas can't go. When people be like, yo, you trying to convert people and make, I don't want you to, this is why I'm proud of it. I don't think like I have recessive genetics, so I'm not trying to dominate you with my beliefs. I'm comfortable enough to tell you what my truth is and then go down the rabbit hole and tell you. I don't tell you not to give up your religion. I tell you to understand it. What's wrong with that? Understand it like you got dominant genetics. Don't believe it like you got recessive genetics because, nigga, you don't. This is why when you hear black music and shit, again, tying it back to the music, when it comes to things like R&B, gospel, and rap, tying it back to the hip-hop thing, hip-hop is the only one where your pen is the same. Hip-hop is the only thing where your pen is your pen. This is why they're like, we're not going to sign hip-hop artists for real unless they talking about stupid shit, bro. Now, we know the Christian rappers, we know what they're going to talk about. They're going to talk about Christianity from the recessive genetic perspective. We don't worry about them. I'd rather have Jesus than silver and gold. They're going to give us some poor shit, some shit that makes them stay in poverty. They're going to give us some shit that makes them feel like they're worthless, they're nothing, and they can't complete. They're going to give us some shit to make them feel like they have recessive genetics and they don't. We're good with that. R&B music, we're going to do heartbreak music, we're going to do heartbreak music, and we're going to do sex music. That's it for the R&B. Heartbreak music and fucking. That's it. You feel me? Heartbreak and fucking. So you niggas gonna be fucking with broken hearts. You can give us fucked up kids because you doing it from a perspective of recessive genetics. You're not gonna heal. You're not gonna give you nothing that's real upbeat or no shit like that. I'm gonna constantly, your hits are gonna be heartbreak music and fucking. Now hip hop, your music is gonna be killing and fucking bitches. That's it. That's it. That's what we need your music to be. Now, when you come through, we're gonna let a few come through, but we're not really gonna That's why what Kendrick did with the GNX album is like, motherfucker, he wasn't contradicting himself. Kendrick learned the game. And nigga, he told y'all niggas this shit during the motherfucking Super Bowl performance. Again, when you think like you have dominant genetics, this is one of the things about the hood. This is why the hood is so powerful. Because black people that move to the suburbs, again, no shot to y'all. I love y'all. Y'all still my peoples. But again, y'all think like y'all have recessive genetics. The hood is still the place where you think like you have dominant genetics. You have to be transitioned into that shit. So a motherfucker from the hood taps in differently. But now he's ostracized. He or she is ostracized because they're still using their dominant genetics. And they're being viewed through the eyes of recessive genetics. This is why when they do something that's quote unquote outlandish or sticks out beyond recessive genetics, black people will come in and say, you just set the culture back 400 years. No, the fuck they didn't. They advanced the shit 400 years. So much so that in 10 years, they're going to come and readopt this thing that you're just now vilifying. They do it all the time. They do it all the fucking time. Because the hood is where the dominant genetics reign. That's why they put it in the hood. We want you to think like you got recessive genetics, but if you think like you got dominant genetics, we're going to do everything we can to break you. Because if you think like you got recessive genetics, you're already broken. We don't give a fuck about that. But when you think like you got dominant genetics, we're going to do everything we can to break you. We're going to make you kill each other. We're going to make you, we're going to put liquor stores on every corner. We're going to put churches in this motherfucker. And we're going to make sure you think like you got recessive genetics, my nigga. That's why there's a small window between birth and 5 years old. Birth and 5 years old. And that sucks. That's crazy when you really think about it. We have between birth and 5 years old to solidify ourselves as people, to make sure that we don't go down a certain route. You feel what I'm saying? That's crazy, bro. That's crazy. But to the point that I was talking about the GNX album, even when he did the Super Bowl performance, he said the game's over. Turn his TV off, nigga. Niggas missed what he was doing. Kendrick Lamar has never thought like he has recessive genetics.
but he learned how to play the game. And I don't even know if he can. I can't say yay or nay to whether or not he put together what I just put together in this episode. But it's like there's very few who understand it. I don't think like I got recessive genetics. So when I say you think like white people, understand that this is where I'm coming from. I don't say you think like white person because I'm intelligent or this that. It ain't that. It ain't that. Tying it back full circle. Our kids know shit. A lot of times they're like, oh, you acting white. You acting like you got dominion over me. You acting like I'm supposed to submit to you. You acting like your genetics are recessive, my nigga. They're not. You feel me? Our women wear weaves like recessive genetics. Our women try to match what it's. You can't, baby. Oh, this is a protective style. Why do you feel? What are you protecting your style from? What are you protecting? What are you protecting? Your dominant genetics. You're protecting the recessive genetic mindset that you have from letting your dominant genetics shine through and don't even realize that that's what you're doing. And then you get what kind of lace fronts? Blonde. Oh, I got a blonde wig. I'm this, that. Like, really? Really? It's there, nigga. You think like you got recessive genetics and you don't. Oh, I got a blonde wig. For what? For what? You don't even have blonde hair. And then what niggas will tell you? Oh, they have blonde hair in Australia. They have blonde hair. It's still a recessive genetics. It's still a recessive template. And those people whose hair was blonde, guess what? It was also still kinky. You have on a straight fucking lace front that is blonde. So now when they say, well, black men, do they really like natural? Yes, we do like natural. To the core, we love our dominant genetics. They fuck with our women first and make us follow suit. And now everybody think like we got recessive genetics. Nigga, we don't. Nigga, think about when a black dude goes to get his hair cut. We might say numbers and shit. Yeah, I'm gonna get it cut down to a 1, temp to fade and shit. Nigga, you're getting a Caesar. You're getting a Caesar. You're getting your hair cut like a nigga with recessive genetics. Nigga. Nigga hit different now, don't it? Oh, shit. Yo, I swear, I love where my mind can go. I love that. I got dominant genetics and I'm not afraid to use them. Like, yo, I love this shit, bro. I don't think like I got recessive genetics anymore. When I tell y'all and shit, like shit be a download, it be coming through. You got to have dominant genetics to get this shit. Like, for real, for real. That's why I don't trust Caucasians. I don't trust people with recessive genetics talking about, oh, I'm a spiritual advisor and this, that, and the third. I don't get no tarot readings from white people. I don't watch their general readings. I don't watch none of that shit. I don't fuck with, like, when my homies, I got homies who fuck with white people when it comes to astrology and shit like that. I don't, because they have recessive genetics. Nigga, I don't think like that. They can't think as far as I'm supposed to go, so they can't give me no fucking message, bro. They can't give me no motherfucking message. You can't tell me shit about astrology. You can't tell me shit about human design. You can't tell me shit about tarot. You can't tell me shit about shit. All you can do is give me the science. That's it. All you can do is give me the science. You can write your book. You can do whatever it is, because all they do is regurgitate information. They operate on rote memorization, not experience, not knowledge. You feel me? I'll take the information, and now I can let my dominant genetics do what it's going to do. But I don't trust nobody with recessive genetics, bro. I don't. Nigga, I don't give a fuck who you are. I don't give a fuck who you are, my nigga. I don't care. If your genetics are recessive, I can't fuck with you. You have to be genetically dominant. Straight like that. And a lot of us are going through a psychosis because we don't realize what the psychosis is. Our genetics are entirely too dominant for us to be acting like we're recessive. But we don't know that it's recessive that we acting like. You know how much we downplay our gifts and we limit it just to our skin? Because that's how they got us thinking racism is. Oh, if you darker, you got to work harder. Yes, nigga, you do have to work harder. If you have dominant genetics, you have to work twice as hard to have recessive genetics. Because it ain't for you, nigga. It ain't you. But you have to unplug from that shit. So now it's like, well, what do we do? Because we got to still work for it. No, you don't. You don't have to. You can figure out how to do certain shit. You got to tap in. Tap into your motherfucking genetics. Everybody can't do it. Everybody want to use they want to think as if they have recessive genetics and use somebody else's melanin to tap in. You can't. Neuromelanin is real. Like, our entire being is melanin and shit, and we fuck it up every single day. You watch what they tell you to watch. Therefore, you think like you got recessive genetics. Like you don't. It's powerful, bro. From the shit that we watch, the shit that we listen to, everything is standardized off of people having recessive genetics. I guarantee you, after this episode, you're gonna look at it all different. Because now it's gonna make sense. It's like, oh, that's why. Yep, that's why. Change it. Like, just look at it from this perspective. Study genetics for real, bro. I'm telling you, I've studied regular genetics. I studied population genetics. I've gone in. I've studied melanin to the T, bro. I'm telling you, I know this shit. I'm telling you, it's different. We're not the same as them. They not like us, bro. Nigga try to tell y'all. You feel me? But again, I'm going to say this and I'm going to really wrap it up. This is why I can say nigga now. You know what I'm saying? Oh, nigga, that's derogatory. It ain't derogatory for me. I know why they call us niggas, bro. I know why they call us niggas. The reason why they want to call us niggas now, because they want to give it back that negative energy and they can't. Now, once we define that, they've been calling us niggas because we have dominant genetics. And you use it in a way to undermine yourself to make us seem like our genetics are belief. It's not. It's not. You have recessive genetics. So you can call me nigga all you want to. You can call, don't do the shit because I'll break your fucking face. You know, y'all know what I'm talking about. But you feel me? You calling me nigga now, it doesn't hit the same. Because I'm not looking at it as a slave. I'm not looking at it as a motherfucker with shit. I'm looking at, oh, nigga, this is why y'all did what y'all did. Because we was niggas. Because we had dominant genetics. Because we had the curly, kinky hair. Because of our noses. Because of our lips. Because of our dominant motherfucking genetics that would erase yours. This is why you was raping our women. This is why you were doing the shit that you were doing. Because you didn't want us to know what niggas really were. And guess what, niggas? Niggas know what niggas are. But I'm going to go ahead and end it there, yo. Go kiss your babies. Make sure they eat their vegetables. And our kids, look, you're going to send them to the education system. You're going to let them watch their favorite TV shows. You're going to do all this. But understand, this is all rooted in thinking like white people. Because it's all built under the mentality of recessive genetics. That's it. How do you reclaim your dominant genetics? You got to get back to studying your shit. And the thing about it is like, yeah, they stole our shit. They destroyed our books and everything, but some of the shit is still here. You got to go find it. You got to go find it. You feel me? I'm a conduit in a way from my podcast. You can go listen to some of my old episodes and shit. It'll spark you, but you got to do the rest and shit. But as long as you still thinking about, like, I'm going to say this and I'm going to wrap it up. Like, when I hear people talk about like, yo, I can't listen to his podcast. You know why you can't listen? You know, only people that can listen to my podcast for real, and get through it are the people who are able to tap into their dominant genetics. Now, if you come into my podcast from recessive genetics, everything that I say is going to piss you off. Everything that I say is going to be against what you're talking about. Everything that I say is going to make you feel uncomfortable. You know why? Because you think like white people. And it's not just thinking like white people. You think like you have recessive genetics. When we clash with our kids, when we have those rebellious stages with our kids are now in a space where their dominant genetics and what they thinking is now starting to merge with our recessive genetics that we think. And we be thinking, you know, our kids are just being rude and shit like that. No. They don't have recessive genetics. They can't fathom the limitations you're putting on them. And you're using the mentality of somebody with recessive genetics to put limitations on yourself. It's crazy. It's fucking crazy. But it's the reality that we're dealing with every single day. And our kids, they wake up. We put them on tablets. Who built the tablets? Who's creating the images and the shit that we're watching the most? Recessive genetics. Like we don't realize how smooth this is to make us think like we have recessive genetics. We don't. It's deeper. Yes, it's thinking like white people, but it's deeper than thinking like white people to the context that in order to think like white people, you had to think like you have recessive genetics. And you don't have recessive genetics, so what the fuck are you thinking like? And when we constantly think like this, what are we going to do to our kids and our future going forward? This is how you erase a people. This is how you erase the people. Their genetics will die because they don't realize that we think like we have recessive genetics and we don't. Ugh. We got to stop doing that to our babies. Somebody got to break the cycle. And if you break the cycle, keep it broken. I'm going to go ahead and end it there. Go kiss your babies. Make sure they eat their vegetables. And I'm going to see y'all all on the next one if I come back, or in season 13, whichever comes first. Peace, love, knowledge, and freedom. I'm out.